Welcome back to the channel, man. We are picking back up on khaki today, and I have a goal in this video. I absolutely have got to get to the primer stage, to the final primer stage on this thing. All right, so here's our process, man. We have to get it all masked off, in which I've already started, but I kind of messed up. We'll talk about it in a second. But once I get this thing completely masked off, I gotta kind of go over it and see if there's any places where some surface rust has potentially, we just pressure washed it. Kind of knock off any surface rust. I need to put a light coat of primer over this thing. Once I do that, then we're gonna be able to go through a little bit of body filler in some areas. I've mentioned this throughout the videos that there's some stuff like right here where we have filled holes in, you know. There's some pitting and whatnot. It's solid, but if you just paint over it, you're gonna see all that stuff. So I need to smoothen all that out with a little bit of body filler here and there. But where I said that I kind of messed up. I got the entire car all sealed off. As you guys seen, I lifted the car up in the air, laid some plastic on the ground, rolled the tires over it so that there's plastic going all the way under the car. Because whenever you're spraying, overspray will travel this direction, get all over my suspension components and stuff on the back of the car. I don't want that. So I completely sealed the car off. Grab ourselves a razor blade here. But the problem is, you see, I need to get inside of there. So I'm gonna have to cut a hole. We'll have to tape this back up whenever I'm done, but I need to mask the firewall from the inside. Yeah, all these holes in the firewall? I don't want to be spraying in here because all my freaking paint is gonna go inside of the car and be all over everything. So yeah, I need to get inside of the car and go to the back side of all those holes and put tape so that our overspray don't go inside. And then I'll tape my window back up and then we can move on. So let me get that done really quick, and then we got to get our spray gun out. I haven't used that in so long, I don't even know where it's at. Alright, so we have some direct-to-metal self-etching primer that we're going to be spraying on here first, because there's a lot of bare metal. Whenever you have a bunch of bare metal like this, you want to make sure that your primer is DTM, direct to metal, and it's always better to use a self-etching because this has a chemical bond that actually bites into the metal and helps to hold it there. We're gonna be coating everything with this first because we want this underneath our body filler, underneath our seam sealer, all that kind of stuff. And making the engine bay all one color is gonna help kind of see like all the imperfections, you know what I mean? Because right now it's basically like camouflage whenever you have bare metal, primer, old base coat and clear coat, and it's hard to see everything that's going on. So we got to get it all one color. All right, so what I really love about this primer, bro, is it dries fast. I mean, it's been like 10 minutes since I sprayed this, and it is dry to the touch. It's probably not 100% cured, but it's dry enough that we can start sanding on it probably in the next 20 minutes or so. But anyhow, now what my next step is I need to go through, and like I mentioned, I gotta fill some stuff in. So there are some holes right here that I welded shut, and you can't see light through them, but it does have some pinholes. So this is gonna need a thin, you know, little swipe of Bondo there. Over here, there's little spots all over the place, man. That's gonna need just little swipes of Bondo and then just kind of sand it smooth. It's gonna be nothing like what I did the first time that I did this bay. I went a little crazy with the Bondo the first time. Dude, if I'm being honest, it really did hold up pretty well. I mean, God, that was 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Anyhow, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this spot, because this really is pretty freaking ugly in here, because there's a lot of overlapping seams here that, you know, whenever you start welding, like doing the stitch weld on the seams, like it gets a little crazy. But I think once it's all painted and all one color, it's not going to be as terrible. But I do want to come in here, if I can get a good angle. So you see there's like some rippling in the metal and stuff, and some like where the pinch welds are at. I guess I'm not too worried about that, but I am gonna go through here and basically with my finger, bro, and just kind of cover some stuff and then sand it smooth, just to give it a little bit of a nicer presence, you know. But like I mentioned, dude, I'm not going for that smooth shaved bay this time. I just want it to be clean. But stuff like this, like right here, I do want to fill these things in. I got all this stuff taped off from the inside. Where the steering comes out is taped. Everything's all taped up. And then these holes I couldn't really access on the inside, so I have those plugged with little ear plugs, bro. But yeah. All right, time to spread some body filler. So I'm trying to focus on an area at a time. So like this area right here, I feel pretty confident is done. I'm gonna go ahead and put a light coat of primer back over it again. So while the primer is wet, you can look at it from different angles and you can kind of see and get an idea if you need more body filler over something or not. There's a little bit of body filler inside of the hole right there where the headlight bolts up. I don't want to leave that there for sure. gotten through pretty much the worst of it, and now I have just very meticulously went over the entire bay, just like scanning it. And I missed a spot. I think I want to get rid of that. That looks a little funky right there. Anyhow, I went over everything and made sure to put a circle around the areas. Like there's a line right there for me getting a grinder in here. That's a hole that was welded shut from the last time. Like there's a lot of like these little imperfections that whenever you're looking at the whole entire thing, it's kind of hard to see everything, you know. So that's why I'm saying I literally scanned over every single little square inch, dude. Just circling anything that I find with a Sharpie. Sometimes whenever you go and you mix up a little bit of Bondo and you come walking over here and you're just kind of like, whoa, where was everything? Oh, right here. Yeah. And then right here. And then you'll get through all your Bondo and then start sanding and realize, oh, I forgot that one. I forgot that one. You know what I'm saying? So it helps to just give yourself a little map, so you know where everything's at. You know what I'm saying? All right, hopefully I can get this all knocked out with one Bondo mix. Through one mix. We're almost done. Toby, what are you gonna do with that ball? What are you gonna do with that ball, Toby? Toby, give me that ball. Let me see it. Come on, let me see it. Hey, buddy. Why? Give me that ball, you brat. Alright, so I have plenty. So this is going to be my high build. That's what I'm going to basically finish this off with. So we got it coated with the Direct-to-Metal. We got all the body filler and stuff done and sanded all that. Got everything all, for the most part, nice and smooth. Now I need to do the high build primer. The high build, unfortunately, is what it is. I'm not going to be able to sand today. I'm not going to be able to do anything with it today. It's going to have to dry until tomorrow for sure. And of course, my luck, anytime that I come out into this booth to paint, bro, it rains. So we have rain on the schedule tomorrow. So I don't know how that's going to go. We'll have to figure it out, play it by ear. But I would like to at least get the high build laid on it tonight. So if it does end up raining tomorrow, it's not going to be a huge deal. I'll have to just wait for it to stop raining so I can come out here and continue. But I want to get as many coats on here as I can. I want to do at least 2 coats, but if I have enough, I'm gonna do 3. And that's because if you look close, there's still a lot of, you see like some of the grinding marks and stuff like that. All of that is going to get filled in with the high build. So, and sand it all down and get everything all nice and smooth. Anyhow, I decided against doing the seam sealer right now because whenever I do the high build and it dries, I'm gonna come back and I have to sand everything. And like right here, if I have the seam sealer over it and I'm trying to sand, I'm gonna end up, you know, knocking the seam sealer and screwing it all up. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do my coats of high build right now. I'm gonna have to let that cure and then do all my block sanding and getting everything smooth, and then I'll have to then do the seam sealer. Such a process, bro. You know, I mentioned this whenever we had the engine in, and I was like, dude, why don't I just touch up some spots? Everybody's in the comment, don't just touch it up, do the bay, redo it, make it nice. I knew it was gonna be like this, but it's all good, man. I don't regret it. I'm happy that we're gonna get it back to nice again, and I feel like it's gonna last a lot longer this time. But I'm actually gonna go over this. Let's see if I have a Scotch-Brite. You don't really have to sand the primer in between primer coats, but I like to. I like to make sure all my stuff bonds really well. So I'm gonna do a light scuff over it, probably with 320 or 220 if I can't find a Scotch-Brite, or maybe I'll even use one of these pads, these flex pads. Just kind of lightly scuff it, and then we're gonna spray our 2-3 coats of high build. Alright, got the high build all mixed up. This thing has been all scuffed. I still need to blow the dust off whenever I turn the booth on. I drilled the holes out right here for where my brake proportioning valve is going to go. I never had drilled the holes, I just had pilot holes. But those are drilled out to fit our rib nuts now, and I put some little tape balls in there to stop the overspray from going into the car. I covered this area right here to keep my high build primer out of there, because I don't really care to high build this section. The last time I painted this bay, my paint and primer and everything was so thick right where the bolts go for the coilovers that it would crack the paint whenever you tighten the bolts down, and for the control arms also. So I learned my lesson on that when painting khaki, and I did it this way whenever we painted creamy. I'm not going to be covering this section because I had the same problem where the upper control arms bolt. After I primer that, I'll just sand that area back down to basically metal. Same with where the headlights bolt up and all that, and the bolts for the anywhere there's a bolt, dude, you got to kind of sand it back down to metal. So anyhow, we are ready, bro. Paint is mixed. Kick the booth on and get into it. this thing is gonna be smooth. I will say with the high build on there, I can see more of the stuff that I'm gonna have to sand out with the high build. If you guys can see like this big flat area, I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up, but there's like little imperfections and stuff that then you can sand out with that thick ass primer on there. You just sand it all smooth before paint. But yeah, I'm gonna let this sit for, I don't know, it's a little bit chilly out right now. I'd say probably 20 minutes ish, maybe a little bit less. You can see that there's some areas that's like super shiny still, and then that's kind of dull. I'm gonna wait for the whole thing to kind of get that dull look. Now, don't let this primer fool you. Just because it looks dull doesn't mean it's not sticky. It is still very much so sticky. But once this sets up a little bit, I'm gonna continue doing a couple more coats over the areas that I know is really gonna need it. Especially in here and in here where I patched the holes and stuff. There's a couple of spots like on top of the shock towers. Definitely all up inside of here because this is all kind of wrinkly and crazy. So I wanna make sure to get everything in there all filled in and stuff, so. Outro.